Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you so very, very much. And today we welcome along a fight director extraordinaire by the name of Kate Waters. And let's take a moment to introduce Kate and her work right now. So, Kate is one of two women on the Equity Register of Fight Directors since 2001 and has enjoyed working as a fight director to this very day. Her experience spans over 20 years. Being a retired competitive boxer and qualified coach, she knows how to choreograph a physical fight, be it a bar brawl to battle scenes, to make it look as effective as possible while making sure the actors do it as safely as possible. She is the one that creates those fight scenes that make you move in your seat, grip your armrest a little tighter, and make you gasp with shock. For all the right reasons, I will add. Her work spans across stage and screen and so much theatre, so much stage. For screen, she's worked on Coronation Street, Emmerdale and Hollyoaks, Sky Pilot, a Toyota Lexus advert, and stage and screen crossovers include The Death of England in 2002 and Romeo and Juliet from the National Theatre starring Jessie, Buckley and Josh O'Connor. For theatre, she has worked at the National, the RSC, the Globe, the West End, Donmar, Royal Court, Royal Opera House in New York, and Regent's Open Air Theatre, just to name a few. And here are a few honourable mentions. King Lear in 2018, starring Ian McKellen. Cyrano de Bergerac, starring James McAvoy. Midsummer Night's Dream at the Bridge. Frankenstein in 2011, starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller. Othello at the National with Adrian Lester and Rory Kinnear. Curious Incident in the Dog in the Nighttime at the National and West End, directed by Marianne Elliott. And Salome, directed by the wonderful Yael Farber. And in Kate's own words, I love telling the physical story of a play through my fights, exploring what motivates the characters to commit such hideous acts of violence. I always work closely with the actors, and I see my job as guiding them to a place of choreography that becomes an integral part of their roles. Obstacles are always opportunities, and I do my best to embrace everything that is thrown my way. And without further ado, Kate,
Wow.
welcome.
That
How are you?
that was a lovely introduction. Thanks very much.
No,
I
it's all
just
you, mate. It's all you.
yeah, I just need to say there's three women on the equity register
Oh,
now.
three now. Much better.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just really important to say, and hopefully there's a few more coming through as well. So hopefully that's starting to grow and build.
Yeah, but you were one of the first ones on it back in
Was
2001.
yeah.
That must have been quite a proud moment, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's quite hard to get on it because it there's no real sort of guidance on how, well, not when I did it when I started doing it in the late 90s. There was no real guidance on how to go about it. So I was kind of it was kind of sort of a path that I had to try and find out about rather than something coming with a book and no help really. Um, but I was kind of like determined that this is what I wanted to do, and I just felt there should be room for me if I take the bull by the horns and grasp it and go in that direction. And I took a few false turns like you would in any career, and I was only in my 20s then. Um, and then I found an amazing guy called Jonathan Howe, who teaches at Bristol Old Vic Theatre School and is a fight director in his own right, and remains a friend today.
Mm.
And he really sort of mentored me. Uh, and really sort of just gave me the confidence to um, believe that there was a place for me at the table in a very male world. And he was the person that did that for me. And I think everybody needs someone like that when they're trying to forge a career for themselves, and especially in the creative industry. And I
Mm.
probably chose an area that it was less known about, and especially for a woman in that area. And the Fight Directors Register was, and I think still is, to a certain degree, a very closed shop. But I believe that I should get on the Equity Register of Fight Directors because it gives the role of a fight director some weight behind it.
Mm.
And that for me, it was important at the time. And actually, I thought that's what I had to do. So that's why I just got on and did it.
Mm. Yeah, no,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, and I'm sure there's a lot you've inspired other people to do it as well. And
I hope
it's
so.
yeah, absolutely. And just embrace the fact that we all have different experiences or different interests, and just keep doing what we're doing more than anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I suppose really to kick off today, of course, you've got your experiences in the rehearsal room and also in the ring as well. You're a ex-competitive boxer as well. So I presume really, where did the love of stage combat and the theatre and boxing and how those all intertwine together, where did it all start? Where did it come from?
Okay. So I would probably say that so the love for stage combat happened when I was at college. I was studying BA acting. So I wanted to be an actor. That was what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And like many courses, you do stage combat as part of that course.
Mm.
And that was a space where I felt like I could really, express myself. I felt confident in that space, didn't always feel so confident in the other classes and wondered why I was there. But in this space, I felt more empowered and I felt like I had some ownership over me a little
Mm.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, and so and I think this comes from having danced from a really early age, from 6 years old. I'd done judo from 7 years old competitively.
Hmm.
And I was always really interested in the physical side of theatre, but I just didn't quite know what that was, where I was going. But in those stage combat classes, it just sort of all made sense to me, really. And I really enjoyed it. And I felt free when I was performing as well. When I was performing a fight, I felt there was a sort of sense of freedom. I wasn't thinking so much about whether I'm right or wrong or am I doing okay. There was less inner dialogue going on.
Mm.
And I got to the second year and I thought to myself, is there a job doing this? Is this something I could do? Because I also started to realize that I had a pretty good outside eye. I didn't really know it was directing at that point, but I knew that I saw things that perhaps I had an eye for detail, and I saw things that perhaps my peers didn't see as actors. Do you see what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and and I thought I knew that I was quite good at telling stories through that lens and through that physical lens. And so kind of that's where it started, and that's where I started to form my interest. Before I went to university and did my acting degree, I didn't know that stage combat act was a thing. I didn't know it existed. And lots of people still go, well, how does that happen? Who does that? They don't even know there's such a thing as a fight director who would go in and, you know, not let the actors hit themselves for real. Um, so that's where that love started, and then I started to pursue the journey of um, after I graduated, pursue the journey of working out how I could possibly make this a career. Um, I got all my performance exams in stage combat, and then I did the teaching certificate with what was the BADC at that time, and through all of that, I was getting all the stuff I needed to get on the equity register, and I was just throwing myself out there. I was teaching it. I taught at Welsh College for about 7 years.
Hmm.
And that was such a good training ground because you're teaching something that you're learning, you're getting better at it because you're teaching it. You're doing all the student shows. So you're really learning your craft in a really safe environment. So I think those years were pivotal to me in my development as a fight director. And as I said earlier, Jonathan Howe was very influential in those early years. We used to, practice in the car park of Bristol Old Vic for hours after the students had gone, and just learn. And I was just learning. I was like a sponge, soaking it all up.
Mm.
Whatever opportunity came my way, I just grasped it.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then just have this interest for telling stories through a physical lens. Telling the physical part of that story, and I can just do it. I don't really know how I see it, because I don't go in the room with a plan or anything. I've obviously read the play and I may have had some discussions, but I work on instinct, and I truly believe that the instinct is your truth,
Mm.
because that's where it's coming from. So I work on my instinct, but I also work off the instincts of the actors
Hmm.
as well, completely and utterly. So the fights that I do are coming out as we in the room as we make them, and that for me is the most joyous part of my job. As far as am I answering all these questions?
Yeah,
As far as the
absolutely. Of course
boxing
you are.
is concerned, as far as the boxing's concerned, now back in 2013, I did a production called From Here to Eternity, which was a musical, um, and it was on in the West End, and boxing was heavily involved in this production,
Hmm.
and the main character was a boxer. So I really didn't know anything about boxing, and there's a point where you go, well, if I'm gonna be as authentic as I possibly can with this production, I kind of need to go and find out about what this sport is. So I took myself off to a boxing gym to just observe, take some classes, take some one-to-ones, do it. And I got, excuse the pun, but I just got completely hooked by it. And so then I decided I'll just find a boxing gym as locally as I can, and I'll just do it for fun.
Mm.
Um, and within a year, I was in the ring competing. I
Wow.
was yeah, I was totally addicted to it, and it really gave me I just loved it. I think it gave me a space where I wasn't, you know, in a world where I was doing something that I could do for myself, where I wasn't serving people, because obviously my job is about serving and making sure that um, I go into work and I give 100% every time I walk through those doors. And it was just quite nice to step on the other side of it and
Mhm.
someone tell me what to do or teach me.
Mhm.
And it was giving me a balance, and that was really healthy. Um, so yeah, so that's really what it was, and I really enjoyed it. I used to get up and I used to go and train in the mornings before I went into work. Yeah, I lived a really, for probably about 4 or 5 years, I lived a really um, a life that I was fit and healthy and watching
Yeah.
what I eat and all of that sort of stuff. I
Yeah.
still do it to a certain extent, but I'm not training as hard as I was.
Yeah.
I moved into
Mm.
coaching amateur boxers, and
Fantastic.
yeah, I've had to like put that's gone on the back burner a little bit because of work. It's very difficult to
Yeah.
the balance of it is quite difficult because even the boxing coaching boxing at grassroots level, it's voluntary, but it felt for a while, it felt like I had another full-time job that I wasn't getting paid for, and that which was fine, that wasn't the problem, but it was actually committing myself to um what is required to be a coach. So
Yeah.
this year I've kind of just put it to one side for a little while, and we'll see what happens in the future. And it's just purely because the work schedule is so mad and I'm all over the place. Been doing a lot of filming this year, so
Mm.
it's to make coaching work 3 times a week. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's busy, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, I like to do a bit of boxing myself, and obviously I know all the things. There's the technical terms, the jab, there's the hook, there's the uppercut, etc. But what's a cross exactly?
Well, it's this one. It's well, it depends if you're right-handed or left-handed. So I'm
Right-handed.
right-handed, so I'm
Yeah,
an orthodox boxer. So
yeah,
it's my backhand. Yeah.
yeah,
So I'd use my lead hand, which is my jab hand.
yeah.
Yeah. And then my cross should be my should be a heavier punch because I'm right-handed, and
Mm,
that just comes across here. It's not coming across the body, but it because I'm going to be like this. It's
mm,
there,
mm.
boom, there, dun dun. So jab cross
Okay.
with my nails.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because people
Yeah,
always
so
say
that's
like,
the cross. And if you're southpaw, then it will be with the left hand. You'd lead
mm,
with your right, and your left hand is your more dominant hand. So that should be your
yeah,
big,
yeah. So if you're left-handed, that's southpaw. If you're right-handed,
yeah,
what was it called?
orthodox.
Orthodox. Okay, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, jump is with your sort of least favorite for sort of like hand using the
You
right
still
way.
have to have a good jab, so you have to get that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely when I first started, I was definitely really dominant right.
Mm,
Yeah. And the jab felt really weird. So I had to really practice that
mm,
because your lead hand's really important because it sets up shots. It's kind of like a range finder as well. You can
hmm.
win a fight off a jab. Yeah. It will get you out of danger. So it's a really, really important punch.
Yeah.
So, a classic combination is just like 1, 2,
Mm,
1, 2. Yeah.
yeah.
But the power comes it's not really from here, it comes from the ground up.
Hmm.
So from the feet, through the legs, through the hips, and then out through the arms.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's all about rotation and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a real full body experience, and it's also
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and also it's the mind, it's the motivations, everything. And I've seen a few boxing training camp videos on YouTube, like with YouTubers like KSI and all these guys who have done it as well, and it just looks so intense. I mean, you've watched what you eat. You're eating like a small portion of like scrambled eggs and some pomegranate seeds at breakfast, chicken breast, brown rice for lunch, and maybe a thin slice of beef and some greens for dinner, and no
Yeah.
alcohol, just pure ice water for like 6, 7, 8 weeks, and then you go for long
Yeah.
runs every day, and it's such an intensive thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my respect. Obviously, I've never tried it, but my respect for pro boxers after seeing all that and what they put themselves through just to get that fight in as few
Yeah.
rounds as possible. Yeah,
Condition body as much as possible. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Um, and that's the thing, it's pretty, and it's equally as intense for a coach as well. I mean, I coach amateur boxers, which is probably the wrong way of saying it because in our world amateur means amateur, whereas
yeah,
if you amateur boxing is Olympic boxing. So whatever you see in the Olympics, that's amateur boxing. It's just that there's no money involved. That's the difference, and
yeah,
it's only 3 rounds. So it's about point scoring rather than trying to knock someone out. So
mm,
it's quite a different sport in some ways. Um, yeah, and it's those boxers at the highest level of amateur boxers, so England or GB boxers, it's just their life and their,
yeah, yeah,
the runs, the strength and conditioning training, the diet, you know, the boxing training, because you've got to be as conditioned as you possibly can to undertake that kind of level of whatever it is going to be in the ring.
yeah. And also the fact that this could either last, a boxing match could either last 30 seconds or it could go all of 12 rounds, and it could
Yeah.
12 rounds. Yeah.
For pro boxing, it's 12 rounds for men and 10 for women.
Okay. So it could
For
go,
amateur boxing, it's 3 rounds of three
okay.
minutes at the highest level.
Yeah. So it could either go 10 or 12 rounds, and it could still be a draw, at the end
Yeah.
of it. So, yeah, of course, very quickly, like how the point system in boxing, because now there's 3 judges, and they all score. Like one might score for one, the other might score for the other, and then one might score for one of the two. Therefore, that person who gets two against one, or it could be a unanimous decision, wins
Yeah.
it. So, how is it scored exactly? Like
I
what?
don't
How?
really know, to be honest. I mean, because I don't
Yeah,
follow that side of it. And
looks
also
very
in amateur
complicated.
boxing, it's a bit different because you'd have five judges around the ring, all round
Mm,
the ring. Do you see what I mean? Or four judges.
right.
So they all have a different perspective of what's going on. So if like one person misses something, then someone else might see it. Do you know what I mean? So they've all
Mm,
got a different perspective of it. And it's like so someone could win the round 10-9 or 10-8 or 10-7. 10-7 is like you should have stopped it. It should be stopped, really, I think.
it waved it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So mostly it's like 10-9 or 10-8 rounds. And then those are over the rounds, in over 3 rounds in amateur, that all just gets added up. So it could be like a 3-2 split. So that means three judges have gone for you and two haven't. Could be unanimous, 5-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Mm,
could be a 4-1 split.
yeah.
Four judges have gone for you, one hasn't. So that's how it's worked out. I would never ever be a judge because
No.
I honestly I don't know how they've got to be so on it and know what they're scoring.
Yeah.
And you have to be subjective. You can't sort of like judge your favorite, which is probably, I mean, it does happen. Uh, there can be some bias. I'm sure there's bias in there somewhere. So yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Oh no, definitely. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I've been in the corner as a coach, and you think that you've got it,
Mm,
and you haven't, and you're like wondering why your boxer didn't win that.
mm,
And then sometimes they've got it and you think they haven't. So, I don't think I'd be a very good judge because clearly I'm not getting it right from the corner. All I can do, like I would do for my actors, is do my best for them,
mm,
make sure that they're as prepared as possible and give them the support when they're in the ring. That's it. That's all you can do.
mm.
It's not that different from fight direction,
No,
except
no, no, no.
they're really hitting one another.
Yeah, and of course there's the thing if like your corner like thinks, oh my God, like he or she's getting the absolute shit kicked out of it, and then of course they get the towel and they throw in the towel and be like, and of
Oh,
course
yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, when you throw in the towel, that's where that phrase comes from boxing. Funny enough,
Yeah.
you throw the towel in and that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
It's
Because
over.
you have a responsibility to those boxers that are fighting, and I'm not really a pro boxing. I'm not a pro boxing coach, so I don't really know that well.
Yeah.
But like with amateur boxing, it's they're kids.
Mm,
You're not going to risk anything with it's a sport, and they're doing it for fun at that stage,
mhm.
and that it should stay that way. So yeah, there's a real sense of responsibility. But in England boxing, the referee also takes responsibility, so they would stop anything probably before a coach would stop.
Yeah.
Uh, there's lots of things that go on with the safety of boxers within the ring. They have to have medicals um, and before they compete and stuff. So there's a lot of safety around it as well.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I've seen a few fights where the referees just took taken one look at the guy who's just picked himself up from the floor or a girl from the floor and they've gone, nah, no, no, they've had enough and they wave it off and they go, no, that's it. It's done.
And the boxer will always think that they can carry on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
boxer, because they're not, they've worked for it and they've trained hard and they want to keep going. So the boxer their boxers aren't a good judge of whether they can carry on or not carry on.
Yeah.
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 Um, so, has and they probably wouldn't like it at the time, but there's a duty of responsibility as a referee and as a coach for those people for those athletes in the ring at that time.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
it's definitely being a coach in boxing. It's definitely you know you're living on the
You are living on the edge. Yeah.
you are living on the edge. A bit
Oh,
like being a fight director and hoping that they, you know, get through the choreography safely, and they stay in on top of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Maintain.
speaking of fight directing, that takes us into the rehearsal room, of course, by
Yeah.
what you do as well. So I suppose really, for if anyone doesn't know, fight director like yourself, Kate, is there to if a moment in a play or a musical or something on stage requires a scene to be that there's a fight or there's a brawl between two characters or more. Your job is to make sure you choreograph the scene to make it look as I said in the intro, as effective as possible, but also make sure that the actors aren't actually hurting themselves in any way whatsoever, just to give the illusion the full credit and
Yeah.
make it look as realistic as possible, whilst also
Yeah.
the actors get off stage. And I've had this experience myself where you've just done a whole fight. I'll tell you more about that later, but you've just come off stage and it looks like you've had the absolute shit kicked out of you, and you look at the other actors who you're in the scene with and you go, did we get a good reaction? Did we get a good reaction? And you think, and when you hear that reaction from the audience, that you know that you've done it well and it's
Yeah.
worked. So
Yeah.
yeah, tell me about your experience in the
My
rehearsal room.
process. My
Yeah,
process.
your process as a fight director. Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, it's the
Sorry about this. I keep wiping myself. It's
oh,
very
it's all
hot.
right.
It's very hot in here.
It's 30 odd degrees.
I know. I know. Sorry, guys, if you keep seeing me with this
While
towel.
he's toweling down like he's a boxer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
So the first thing is the script. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have your script. Your anyone who doesn't read it, they shouldn't walk into that rehearsal room without not reading that script.
Yeah.
And I'm saying not just read it once, I'm saying you should be reading it a few times. Because what happens with me is a script I'm just about to work on, I read it probably a couple of months ago because I had a meeting with the director. So obviously I wanted to read the script before I had the meeting. I need to read it again because a lot has happened between now and when I start rehearsing again. So you shouldn't step into the rehearsal room having not read the script. Yes. Ideally, you want to have a discussion with the director because you want to know what their vision is for the piece, because you have to work within their vision.
Yeah.
So I always try to encourage that. And it's definitely happening more than it used to. But whether that's because I just kind of like know my job more, or I want to know, it's really important for me to know. And then as I've got the script and the story and the discussion that I've had with the director working around in my head, I have like a feeling of what it should be like, what it should feel like. Yeah. That's the only thing that I walk into the room with. Having read the script, having had a discussion, and the what we're wanting to feel during this moment, what it should feel like. And then when I walk into the room for the first time, I always say like the first minute of my rehearsal period is the most important minute of my day, because in that moment, I have to gain the trust of those actors. Yes.
Okay.
I have to, and once I've gained the trust, then we're all free to work.
Yeah.
By doing that, I'm just really, really relaxed. And I just make sure that they feel empowered to be able to say what they think and how they feel. And the minute you give that kind of empowerment to someone, they feel like they have ownership over it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then from that moment onwards, we just start making. And that's the best bit. Because what I love is that I have a blank canvas, and then maybe by the end of 2 hours, we've not me, but
Yeah.
we've painted it with something.
Mm.
and that I find, I never get bored of that. That's what I find so joyous about, oh, what can we do here? And I think what's really important to say is that I'm always looking for the why first. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing this move? What? And that is a discussion. So as we go through choreography, that is a discussion. And then I work out how. I think if you go in with the how first, it kind of restricts your creativity. So do the why first, because there's truth in the why, and then you can work out how. And that's the best bit, because you're working out, oh my gosh, can I do this? Yeah. And the actors always give you stuff. Like literally, they feed you.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they're really creative. They're playing those characters. So those discussions and them challenging me in a way that makes me think and makes me creative, continues my creativity. That's what keeps me going. Yes. So that's really my process. And then and then obviously things have to be adapted and things have to change and things, grow and evolve and develop. That's just natural. That's also really lovely as well.
Yeah.
I'll cut things back because, I might have made it too long, or I've something I don't believe anymore. Something that felt like was a good idea on day one might not be a good idea day 3. So it's always evolving. It's always evolving. I never sit back and go, nailed it. Yeah. I sit back and I go, oh, I could change that, or I could jig that. I could jig that a little bit more. I could make that. I don't believe. See, I'm always thinking, if I don't believe it, I don't believe that that chuck to the floor looks too loose. Yeah. I've got to put more intention. It's usually the little things that, that can add something. And no member of the audience, or even sometimes the creative team, will know that there's been a little change there. And it's just given an actor a different intention, given an actor permission to feel that they can go for it. And I say that in inverted commas because that's different. So that's really it, really. And then you take it. So day 1 for me is like usually one of my favorite days. That voyage of discovery starts there.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's like you go in, you say, "Hi guys, my name's Kate. Like we're gonna do this. My plan is this. Okay, let's get up on your feet, right, and let's beat the hell out of each other." It's
very early, I'm like within probably 5 minutes, we're all touching each other, and and for me, I'm very much involved in the making of it. I don't sit back with a book and I've got notes on what I'm doing. We're finding it as we're going, and I put my body into it still, always.
Yeah, and I think it's a growing thing because like with fight directors, I think it's on the growth with intimacy coordinators as well, because a few years ago, both of these jobs wouldn't have existed in the rehearsal room, but now thankfully that they do, and
Fight directors existed for quite a number of years before Rafe.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Oh yeah, before intimacy.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
intimacy really sort of came into the fold, I would say, post-COVID. Definitely before COVID, we weren't working with intimacy directors.
Oh no.
I didn't see anybody on screen, or I didn't work with anyone on screen or work with anybody on stage. But now they've come in. But fight direction was there well before intimacy directing was. And I'd like to just say something on that point, because fights are intimate. Fights are movement. So they're all those things. Yes.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, and some of the things that I've had to had to choreograph and stage. They're very disturbing stories, and they require a sensitivity, and they require a sense of require a sense of sensitivity from me as a choreographer to go about that work. But it is intimate. Yes. So that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, excuse my naivete, by the way, there.
yeah.
But
It's just important to clarify because
oh yeah, no, for sure. You know, because no, you're right. I think intimacy coordinators is definitely something that's appeared recently, whereas fight directors, as you rightly say, has existed before, so that's good. Yeah, excuse me on that one. But yeah, I feel like there's so with fight directing as well, like you say, there's an intimacy to it because the bodies are very close. You are doing things like I remember I had one production of which you were involved with, which I've talked about on here quite a bit, which was the Othello that you did with Nick Heitner in 2013 with Adrian Lester, Rory Kinnear, Olivia Vinal's also been on here as well, and of course Jonathan Bailey as well in
oh yeah,
who was
yeah,
Cassio, and
yeah, yeah,
of course there's the scene. Well, there's two scenes in particular I want to ask you about in that one. First
yeah,
one is the bar brawl when Iago plies Cassio with
yeah,
beers when he says, I think Cassio's line is that I'm not good with drinking.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
good.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me and alcohol, we don't mix very well. And what does
yeah,
Iago do? He gets him drunk. And
yeah.
so what was it like approaching that scene in particular? Because you've got so many bodies around you. How
Yeah,
did
a
you get
really
it all
small
together?
space as
Yeah.
well. Just so the important part of that storytelling is that it's Cassio's downfall.
Mm,
That's the most important part. And it's Cassio's downfall. Iago sets him up, Cassio's downfall. So basically, Iago can get into his Cassio's shoes and get closer to Othello to
mm,
bring him down.
yeah.
That that's the main motivation for that story, for that fight. Okay.
Hmm.
Nick Heitner setting it on a
It's an army base, wasn't it?
army base in Cyprus, um, where it's hot. The war is over. Yeah, so they defeat right at the beginning. So there is no war, and these guys are all stuck in a really hot country with nothing to do but drink and fight. And we had a what was his? I've forgotten his name. Oh, Jonathan, his name was. But he was like really high, a general. I think he was a general in the British Army, like for years and years, years. And
Oh,
he came.
yeah, I think I've got his name actually in here
Have you?
somewhere. Yeah, hang on, bear with me. It's here somewhere, but hang on. Is it Major General Jonathan
Major.
Shaw?
Yeah, Major General. Yeah. So we had a major in the room with us,
Yeah,
and the biggest compliment that I could have when he came in to see the fight, he said that's exactly how it would happen. Yeah,
there you
just
go.
I know, big, amazing praise.
Yeah,
Yeah, the major was one of my number one. He was a number one fan, and yeah. So Nick Heitner said to me, it's going to happen in this like sort of what would be the mess. So it's like a container type thing. So I had the most limited amount of space with these huge bodies in it. But again, you just start at the beginning, and the first bit is I think it's Rodrigo. The character's Rodrigo.
hmm,
He's insulted Cassio off stage, and they come flying on, and then that's kind of where it starts. Then people come on and try to stop it, but then that evolves into other things.
hmm,
And Cassio, what I had to do was follow Cassio's story,
yeah,
where he's just going mad. Anyone that touches him, he's going to turn around and do something to. It didn't matter who it was. And obviously, he injures. Oh, you're getting me on my characters here. He
oh no, you got me as well.
then
Oh, who was he? I don't know. One of them. It's just
anyway,
yeah, one of them.
and Othello comes in and stops it, and that basically is his downfall.
Yeah,
And the shame that Cassio feels in that moment is horrendous and awful for him.
yeah.
So yeah, it was good fun to choreograph that. And really, you just start with that, and then actors come up with good ideas. But one thing is like, because what you're trying to do also is you're trying to give a reason for everything that's going on, even though the central storyline is Cassio. You also got to have a reason for everybody else in that moment. So what you tend to do is over choreograph. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, this is too long, too long.
Hmm.
Nick looked at me and he went, it's too long. And I went, I know. And so, but I had to cut it, but really difficult to cut because you
Yeah.
take a little bit out. It's easy in a fight with just two people, you can snip. But with a fight with, I don't know how many were there, 10 or something, 10, 11, snipping there just had an impact, so knock-on effect for others. But anyway, I cut it, and it was better for it. Obviously, I knew it needed to be cut. Nick Heitner knew it needed to be cut, so we got about. I had a session to cut it down, and what we end up with in the room on stage is what we ended up with, and it worked really well.
Mm.
Got a response.
Yeah, oh, definitely it did. Yeah, and one thing that I love about this is all these little techniques which you have, which say if you're going for a headbutt or something, you can. I know one way we did it. We did a show at drama school called Widows. There was a fight scene there. I've talked about it on here many times, but if you it's all these little things that you do. So if you're facing the back of your back's to the audience, and the butt of a gun goes across your face, as you not facing the audience, you do a sort of sound
Yeah,
and you do that. Or if it's one thing in your thing, which I saw footage from the rehearsal room when during the interval sort of recording on it was I think you were holding one of the actors like here on their chest, and they went, okay, so when you go like this, you go with your head, and of course you don't actually hit the head, you go to the side here, and
yeah,
as you
yeah,
go across it like that, you hit the your thigh or something like this, and you go
yeah,
boom, like that,
yeah,
and but it looks because I know no one's looking at where your hands go make that
yeah.
sound, which is brilliant. But
And
yeah,
also,
what these little things, yeah.
yeah, and also there's so much going on in that fight. I could get away with that a little bit. When it's a little bit more exposing, it's more difficult. Like if you've seen many of my fights, a lot of them don't involve lots of staged moves,
Mm,
like a punch or
yeah.
unless it has to, unless it's in the story, like Tina Turner, there was lots of hitting there. But a lot of it is a lot of mess, yeah, which is actually how fights should be. So a lot of my stuff is contact and messy, and then something might just come out of it, and that's when it has to be really carefully choreographed, because like say it's coming a mess, and then I just kind of act, not even accidentally, but I'm just using this as my arm as a weapon, but
Mm,
not looking so neat, yeah,
yeah.
and that's kind of what I love.
Yeah. So how do
Yeah.
you do that? Where do you put the sound making hand? Like if you're going across there, what's the best way?
Seriously, anywhere, yeah. And it was
Anywhere.
I could put it with someone else on stage. When I did High Noon this year, and then we had the fight in that between two characters, which was an amazing fight to do because well, one of the reasons why I did that piece was when I spoke to the director, that the reason why I want to do this play is because of that fight, because it wasn't really clear why they fought, and that was what was so brilliant,
Yeah.
because they had a deep love for one another, a deep respect for one another, and it was about dominance, it was about respect, it was about love, and it was just such a joy to choreograph that with those actors. And literally in that fight, I put two non-contact moves in, which obviously one was a headbutt
Hmm.
and one was a punch up the side. They were on the ground,
Yeah.
and one in front just punched him from behind
Uh,
there. And we had to have very careful cueing them because there was no eye contact. Yeah, so Billy, there are two Billies. So Billy H, when Billy C put his head like that behind,
yeah.
yeah, tucked in, that's when Billy knew that it was safe to go. And the naps I did off stage. One for the headbutt, we clapped it off stage, and I made sure his mic was live at that point. So the guy that was napping for me would nap up by his mic. And then for the punch, we just found a chair and we slapped the chair. And it worked. Both of them worked. Every night that headbutt got gasps.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So it really depends. You're just always looking to see how you can create the sound. Yeah, whether it's coming from the actor that's doing the punch, doing the not punch, doing the action, the actor receiving it, whether I've got someone who can do it off stage, whether I've got someone else on stage that can do it.
Yeah. And I feel like
You don't have to do any of those things, which is really nice.
yeah, absolutely. The fact that you
An accent gets done for you.
definitely, yeah. I mean, you know, you look these scenes which happen again, like you see it happen. It's just the sound of like, oh, actually, no, that's a bit lame, but like someone going, and then you see someone's face like jolt back, and you believe it. And like, I remember in our case in our play at drama school where we'd rush off stage and go, oh, do we get a good reaction? It's like, yeah. So, and they went, yeah. When I hit you with a gun, there's like a few ladies on the front row just went,
Brilliant.
yeah.
And people react to sound. I have to like make sure that not always directors are aware of that. You know, like I say, they said it doesn't sound authentic. Well, it's not an authentic sound because actually
No.
that probably wouldn't be a punch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people react to the sound. So if it was silent, we know it's a miss. But if a sound comes in, then that's what people are reacting to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the sound plays a huge part of it. And there's another scene in Othello, which we'll come back to in a second. But I have to ask you this question about, because sometimes you can rehearse things so it's absolutely set. But because it's live theatre, anything's possible. And I've been in a couple of shows where I could see someone go for a punch and they completely missed it, like entirely. You know, I'm not going to name productions in particular. I won't name any names, but
and hit the person.
No. I saw one production. This guy went for a punch, but the guy was standing too far away from him.
Okay,
So he threw the punch, and yet he reacted, but there was a good distance between them. And I was like, ooh, okay. But so I was like, hey, okay. But I'm not criticizing. Look, these things happen. It's live theatre. But have you ever had situations where it hasn't gone quite right, or something actually has happened on stage?
Um, things sometimes don't go quite right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, for me, that's what rehearsal is about.
Mm.
Yeah. And it will always be dependent on how much time you're given to rehearse it.
Mm.
And usually I do, you know, like we're all fighting for time all the time. And sometimes it's, you know, I can feel like I'm on the bottom of that ladder rung as far as time is concerned. But it really depends on the fight. But certainly, you know, like people, you cannot eliminate risk completely because it's a physical activity. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot completely eliminate risk. Your job is to eliminate, you know, is to give them the tools so that they can sustain that for 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
That's what your job is to do, as well as tell a story and all of that. So, of course, you know, I won't sit on here and say I've never had an accident. Of course, I've had an accident. And it's usually human error. Yeah, where the accident happens. Where perhaps the actor isn't focusing or concentrating so much. Yeah, but no one's been punched in the face or anything like that. You know, because I'd rather them, if they're getting it, I'd rather them be too far apart and it doesn't work theatrically than be too close and in a show and it gets dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for me, I want it to work all the time, but it doesn't always, and that's always dependent on skill that you have that you're working with. So you're always compromising around the skill that you might have, time that you're given, and you know, and those things. So if you're seeing things that aren't working, there could be any number of reasons why that isn't working. It could be that the fight director hasn't been in enough. Yeah.
Hmm.
It could be that the fight director hasn't done a very good job. You know, those things happen. It could be that the actors aren't have got they've let it slip. Like when they're doing a show for a long time, they get used to doing it, so that it hasn't got the same feeling to it, and that's when maybe an accident can happen because the focus isn't quite there. So really, it's your job as a fight director when you're in that room and you're choreographing, you make yourself really present in that room, which is what I've done from the beginning of my career because I thought that's how you should do it. You don't just rock up, do your bit, and then disappear. You make yourself present in the room. You give your you you work hard to tell that story. You respect the skill that you're working with, and you give those actors. There's always stuff that they will be able to do. Yeah. So it's not about the moves. It's about working with the situation that you have.
Mm.
And that's the most important thing. Um, yeah, that's it. I mean, I've done one slap, and it's also sort of making sure that you've got your fight captain in place and that your workers, you know, you're really clear about what that role is and that the work has always stayed at a level.
Hmm.
I say it all to them before I leave the show. But I'm also in touch with my fight captain
Mm.
when the shows are up and running to say how are things going, you know, all
Yeah.
of those things.
Like show
I think,
reports and stuff.
I
Yeah.
think there's a deep respect for. Uh, I have a deep respect. I invest in the shows. I invest in the people that I'm working with, and I have a deep respect for them. And I honestly believe that I get that back tenfold
Mm.
with the people that I work with.
Yeah.
And they and I think because they see my investment in them and the show that they want to do a good job.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um yeah, I would say that it's what you give it, what you give, you will get back 10 times more.
Hmm.
And it's purely the way that I sort of just go about my business.
Yeah.
I care. I care. I care about it.
And that's what you should do as well, because ultimately, if it's the trickle down effect. If someone at the top or someone leading it doesn't care, then then nobody will at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and yeah,
that's when you like, I mean, I'm a long way into my career now, and obviously people know who I am. So it's not very often I walk into a room and there's not going to be people I know or,
mm,
and I've got long relationships with directors that dialogue's already there. So I'm very fortunate to have that. But obviously I've built that up over a number of years.
mm,
And so, when you walk into a room and you know people, obviously that's really lovely. And your reputation precedes you in a way that I would never have imagined 20 years ago. I couldn't even picture it
mm,
25 years ago or whatever. So yeah, I feel like it's an earned respect from
definitely.
both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And the fact that you've worked with a few directors, like you're saying, more than once as well. And it again, it's just building. So people say, well, how do you build so much trustworthy? How many connections? Like, why do people trust you so much? And it's really simple, really. Is that you love what you do, you be nice to everybody, and just don't be a dick. And it's
I
simple,
care
really.
about it, and I care.
And care about it as well. So that's number four, yeah. And you care
Yeah,
about what
I care
you
what it
do,
looks
yeah,
like. I care about the work. I care about the people doing the work.
yeah.
I think I really hope that's what my values are really. I hope that my values are really clear and my integrity for every job that I do matters.
Hmm.
And that could be one slap. I've got one slap in a show that's in the West End at the moment at the Arcadia. I
Yes.
don't need to be there every day. Yeah, I don't need to be there every day.
Nah.
But like I messaged the director and say, how's it going? It's working.
Mm.
It's going really, really well. So that job is done, but it doesn't mean to say that I didn't. Obviously, it didn't take me as long to do as a full-on brawl, but it's still really specific and important in the piece. So it's making sure that even though it's just one slap, it still has weight behind it, because that one slap is an important slap.
Yeah, it has more weight behind it in more ways than one,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just really, yeah, just thinking about it now, and I, like what you say, I have long-lasting relationships. I do. I've known Jamie Lloyd since 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, the first time we worked together was at Liverpool Everyman on a show,
Yeah. Yeah.
a musical called Eric's. That was the first time we worked together. And, last year we were at the Palladium together, and I'm going to New York. Do you see what I mean? That's the proudest thing I am. Like Nick Heitner, I've known him for 15 years.
Mm.
These Yael
Mm.
Faber,
Brilliant,
Carrie
yeah.
Hotman, Thea Sharrock. These are relationships that are long lasting, and I'm really, really proud that Indu. I'm
Mm.
really proud that they are they've been part of my life, but also that we've Tim Sheeder, Paul Foster,
Mm.
people that have been so they're colleagues, but they're friends as well.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to make these connections than you think.
Yeah,
Just ask questions and
yeah,
engage, it's easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to sustain that over a number of years, it really speaks volumes about them as people, their loyalty to me, and I
Mm.
don't take that for granted.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And it shows that. And of course, a big shout out to someone you work with, Yael Farber, who's been on here as well. And I can't speak highly of her enough. I think she's just incredible. And
I've done quite a few with her now.
yeah,
Macbeth and the King Lear,
he did King Leo at the Almeida. Yeah,
and Macbeth, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And, those shows were
Oh, they were. Yeah, I
yeah,
saw because I know Macbeth was. Oh no, it was performed in person, but there was a recording of it as well,
yeah, there was, yeah,
which I saw the recording. I didn't manage to get a ticket for the theatre, unfortunately, but I did see King Lear in the theatre. And I said this on a previous episode, but he said some people walked in and they said running time 3.5 hours because it was pretty much not. Obviously, some bits were probably trimmed down or something. Correct me, yeah, if I'm wrong, but it was mostly the full play, 3.5 hours. And some
oh,
people
isn't
were
it?
like, and some people were like, oh my god, 3.5 hours, but it just flew. It
Oh,
flew by.
yeah. And that's when something's done well. I mean, Yael's very visionary in her process,
Yeah, she is.
very visionary director. Um, yeah, and we get on well. Like when you say, like, doesn't mean to say that you don't have challenging times with people,
Oh, of course.
that you can come out the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I think I would use Yael as an example of that. Um, but I have a deep love and respect for her, and I believe that she has that for me as well.
Hmm.
And that's for the work, but for her as a person as well, because
Mm.
she genuinely does care about my work, but I think she really genuinely cares about me as a human being, and I think that means more to me than the work.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah,
100%. And I love also that I was lucky enough to speak to Faith Mole, who was in that as well. She was Regan in that,
yeah,
and she's amazing.
incredible. Yeah,
And I think she told a story about Yar, which was that sometimes she says, "Okay, let's try this," and you go, "But I'm not sure. Wait, Yar, I'm not sure how this is going to work." She goes, "No, no, no, trust me. Just
yeah,
please, just please do it." And then like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool, no worries." And then you do it, and then after she's like, "Ah, okay,
yeah.
I see what you mean now. Yeah, oh, it's amazing." And that production, I
Blew
can't
you
think.
away, did it?
Yeah,
It
sorry.
blew you away. It blew
Yeah.
you away, that production,
It
did it?
really did. Oh, yeah. And I was very, very lucky. I was part of a review group at the time, and they said, "Would anyone want to review this?" And I was like, "Oh, King Lear. Well, of course, yeah. I love my Shakespeare. Of course, I want to review it. Who's behind it?" Yael, and then Danny Sapani as King Lear, who was magnificent, by the way. Clark Peters, and I love the dynamic duo those two had. There's Lear
Yeah,
and the Fool, and I remember Clark Peters at one point. I can't remember what bit, but I've never seen the Fool played with such swagger. The
yeah,
Fool's kind of like this, kind of
yeah,
like little vice or something. But Clark just had this energy of like, no, this I'm not going to make this guy
yeah,
like just a little thing in the background. This guy's integral. And I remember at one point, I can't remember which bit, but Leo's talking and he cuts him off and goes, "Up, up, 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 up."
yeah.
And I just thought, Jesus, I've never seen the Fool like this before. Oh,
You
honestly,
remember more than I do.
yeah, no, honestly, I could go off on one right now. Anyway, but the second scene I wanted to ask you about in Othello, particularly, this is a bit of more of a more difficult scene to plan. I think, of course, was between
Reading of Desdemona.
yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know Adrian and Olivia at the end when Othello tragically smothers Desdemona to death? And so yeah,
Yeah.
what was it like for planning that scene?
Well, again, so again, this is a much more sort of sensitive, intimate scene to do.
Oh
So
yeah.
your process has, you're being careful with how you are managing that in the space.
Mm.
It doesn't mean to be, you don't have to be heavy about it and all of that, but you're managing something that's quite different. And again, it's the same process. I played Desdemona a few times,
Oh, did you?
Adrian Lesser was flinging me on the bed and we're finding things and I'd get Olivia in and I go, what do you think of this, Olivia? Adrian, what do you think of this? And it's kind of just like made. So in a way, because you're making it that way, you take away at that point in the rehearsal, you're taking away the awfulness of it. Yes, because you're just trying to work out how you're going to do it. So it becomes quite a practical thing. And it's not really until I sort of step out of that and go, and then they take over and they're acting it. I go, oh my God, that's horrendous.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't, I know it's horrendous, but when I'm making it and I'm in it, I'm not I'm just thinking of story. I'm just thinking about where we've got to go here and what I'm going to believe and how long that needs to last for that to make the audience feel that that's real. So yeah, and obviously then working out the how. How are we going to do it? How is it? Olivia needs to feel safe in this moment every single night, and also Adrian needs to feel safe knowing that Olivia's okay with it, because the minute the Desdemona feels nervous, that will make the Othello feel that they can't go there.
Mm.
So that's a really important journey for both of them, to make sure that they feel safe in the space when they're creating. And again, it's just about involving them and what they want to do and how they feel and where we need to get to. So I did Othello again last year with David Harewood,
Yeah.
Caitlin,
Toby
and
Jones. Yeah.
Toby Jones, which was equally as good.
Mm.
And obviously we had the murder scene at the end of
Yeah.
that one. We went somewhere very different with that one, actually.
Oh.
But again, it was still the same process. But I broke her neck at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, because she didn't come back alive. Because like she comes back alive,
Yeah.
it's always a little bit weird and odd. So when Othello, when we hear Amelia outside, and Othello says, "Oh, still alive? Oh, what do I do?" I can't remember I'm
Mm.
paraphrasing like crazy. And then he just picked her body up, and we didn't use a pillow or anything. We were strangling her in the moment, and she was struggling. She's fighting for her life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we sort of picked her up and her body's drooping, and then he just
Wow.
broke her neck. And the audience, I mean, honestly, every night it got a gasp. And the audience were, they just knew at that point, as soon as he put a lame on his body and then he turned her head, and they just knew. They were
Yeah.
like, and then sometimes they would physically go, no,
Mm.
out loud. But again, what you have to do is there's no way that Desdemona is going to be submissive to this moment. Yeah. Your body is, you're, as a human being, you want to survive. So you're going to fight the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that the only reason that Othello is able to overcome Desdemona is because he's stronger.
Mm-hmm.
He's a man and he's stronger,
Yeah.
which in all domestic violence cases is often the case. We
Tragically,
cannot, physics of men and women is totally different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you're absolutely right. And, I remember we talked about that scene as well with Olivia, who's been on here as well, and in my recent Shakespeare Saturday series as well. Just that scene in particular. All I wanted to do when I watched Adrian do it albeit on a screen. Sadly, I didn't see it in the theatre, unfortunately. But all I wanted to do, and I'm sure I probably had the same thing with if I saw David Harewood's one,
Yeah.
which is to run in there and tackle Othello to the ground and say, "You have no idea what you're about to do." And as an audience member, you sit there and you feel so complicit, and you, because you know what's going to happen, but for some reason, all you want to do is just rush in there and go, no, no.
Yeah.
But like you said there, I get that image in my head now of David getting whoever played Desdemona. Sorry, I don't know who the actress was. Caitlin. And just at that moment there when he's about to go, and then the audience is going, just stop, 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 stop. And then they go, oh, and then there's that silence.
And you
Yeah.
want the audience to be complicit because that's what they're watching. Do you know what I mean? So they are complicit in that
Yeah.
moment. And then, then Iago kills Amelia, and you've got two dead women.
Yeah.
In that play, you've got two dead women at the hands of men.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is explored enough. And I think it was in Nick, and I think it was in the one I did it. We explored it. And Iago doesn't die. He just doesn't get away with it because obviously he's going to.
Thankfully, yeah.
But Othello has this like heroic speech at the end and then kills himself. So it's almost like it's forgivable, and it isn't. We've got two dead women. Yeah,
and
on the bed or wherever, at the hands of men.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Their deeds, their jealousy, basically, and evilness.
Yeah,
and their sort of self-centeredness.
Yeah, and at first you think, "Oh my God, innocence has died at the hands of evil," but thankfully that's reversed very quickly. And what Shakespeare does is that Iago is caught. And I think one of the final lines of the play, again, I'm paraphrasing here, which was one of the dukes just says to him, "Look upon," he gestures towards the bed where you got three people dead. When in Nick's version, you had Adrian hanging over Olivia, and then Amelia there just lying with a bloodshot wound in her stomach. And he says, "Look upon your work. Look at what you've done." And of course, Iago, being the psychopathic narcissist that he is, he probably just goes, "Oh well, never mind. But at least I'm going to get fed and watered for the rest of my life in jail. So happy days."
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like he hasn't really. There's no, and that's what a narcissist and psychopath do. They don't. They show their inability to show remorse or empathy is zero. So basically, Rory Kinnear and Toby Jones did it differently, but did it brilliantly.
Oh yeah. I have to admit,
It's an incredible play. It is an incredible play.
Oh, it's one of my favorites of all time. And
there's a bit I love the most. I love when Amelia realizes what gone on.
Yeah.
And the strength of that woman in that moment in a room full of men
Yeah.
to basically
Say, you
say,
evil bastard, this is
no,
all
no, no,
your fault.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've done this, and the panic that can set, and then obviously he kills her because he's been outed. But that is just such an incredible speech for
Oh,
a woman to have, and we need to feel that. Whoa,
mm,
that a woman was brave enough to, you know, to say what she said and to reveal Iago, and that was her downfall.
mm.
So
And
yeah,
it's, and of course, big shout out to, I can't remember, is it Lindsay who played it at?
yeah, and you
Yeah.
know what, Lindsay Marshall, I
Yeah.
taught her.
Did
I
you?
taught her at Welsh College. Yep,
Wow.
I know. It was nice. There's a few students that I've worked with professionally as well. Yeah, but she was like my first year that I taught as well.
Did you? I mean, you talked earlier about the first day of rehearsals, and you walked in, and there's people meeting you there for the first time. They know of your work. But what was it like? You came in and saw Lindsay. You're like, hello.
Yeah, I knew she was in. It was just really nice. It was really lovely to see her
Yeah.
there. She's a lovely actress and a
Oh,
lovely
very good.
lady. And it's just nice to see people that you've taught, working and that you're working with them. That's really just lovely. Really
Yeah,
nice.
it is. Yeah, I've been trying to get her on here recently, actually, but I know she's very busy right now. But that's one for the future. One for the
Yeah,
future.
there we
And
go. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, I mean, it's incredible what I mean. Again, congratulations on that production, of course, and of course the career that you've had as well. It's I presume really because that Othello obviously got many memorable reactions. Feel free to include this in this next question as well. But if was there one particular moment where you got the best reaction, or one particular night where you got such a great reaction from the audience for something? No, no, maybe not Othello, but for anything else that you've
Oh,
done
oh
that
yeah.
and you've gone, yes, God, I'll remember that.
I mean, it's happened. It happens, and that's very satisfying.
Yeah.
But I've got to give back to Sweat at the Donmar, a
Mm.
Lynn Nottage play directed by Lynette Linton. Another lovely relationship I have
Hmm.
with her beautiful director. I feel like her big sister. I'll tell you the story behind that. Lynette was associate director to Michael Grandage on a production of Lieutenant of Inishmore,
Hmm.
and she was obviously working alongside resident director on that show. And she said to me that she was doing a little play at the Donmar and it's got a fight in it. Would I like to do it? And I went, yeah, of course, let me know. That little play was Sweat, that
Mm.
opened to rave reviews, transferred to the West End.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but was very influential in the career that Lynette deservedly has now.
Hmm.
Um, it's an incredible play. The fight is, I had an incredible group of actors on that play, but the fight is difficult. And I've got to try and remember it, but there's a moment that happens where the guy gets hit around the head, and it's by accident with a baseball bat.
Mm.
And as I'm reading it on this sofa, I'm reading it and I'm thinking, oh, maybe we could. I'm like, oh, that in the Donmar,
Yeah.
very close, three sides.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find something different. And then I'm reading on, and it affects that guy's life forever at the end. And you see him come on, and he's been affected, traumatized by that with what's happened to his brain.
Yeah.
I went, oh no, I have to do this. So the first day of rehearsals, I go in, amazing group, sit them down. I said, right, okay, we know that we've got to get to this point in this fight. which I'm not going to shy away from. It's going to be difficult to do, and I don't know how we're going to do it yet. With the audience on three sides and close, and it's got to happen. And because the impact of that one hit will impact that guy's life. I said, but let's not worry about that yet. We know we've got to get there, but let's start at the beginning of the fight. And let's just find where we're going to go and work that out as we go.
Yeah.
And I always remember saying this to Lynette. I said, I had one afternoon with them. And I said, can I come in tomorrow? I think I can finish this tomorrow. But I feel like we're on a roll. And if I don't want to leave it another week, and she went, yeah, no problem. That's brilliant, because that's really good, like seeing the need for what's needed at that moment and, allowing me the space to do that. And I can't remember how we found it. I got it out of a movement, and it just literally just happened. We had someone standing behind the bar with 2 blocks of wood who would nap it at that moment.
Yeah.
And there's lots of diversion of people. So audiences sort of, having their attention taken. And I am not joking. That first night, the first preview, the audience went at that baseball hit, literally, and it got reviewed, because not very often fights get reviewed, to be honest. But one reviewer, Susanna Clapp, who's basically she's really championed my work on quite a few occasions, which is really lovely. And she said, I don't think a fellow reviewer has. I was sitting next to a fellow reviewer on the night, has gripped my elbow so hard when that moment happened, something like that.
Wow.
So I definitely am so pleased with that, because it was so hard to accomplish in that space, and all of us as a collective did it.
Yeah.
And I guided it, but we found it as a collective, and I'm so proud of that.
Definitely. Do you know, I've just realized I think I saw that when you transferred to London, to the West End. Yeah. Just remember, which theatre was it in? No, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
But yeah, anyway, I got thank you to Datix for the discount, by the way. But I got a seat up on the upper circle. I was kind of in the gods, but I still got a nice view, so it was fine. But yeah, no, I remember that, because was it Stuart who played it? It was a Scottish, but yes,
well done.
Yeah. I worked with Stuart actually on a couple of occasions. Yeah, we did a play. But I was on a university placement at the time on a show at the National called My Country: A Work in Progress, and I subsequently got a little part in the BBC Two adaptation, which they did. We shot up in Birmingham for a week and a half, and yeah, I remember Stuart for the rehearsal room. He had all these great stories about Glasgow and all these other things. Yeah, so I went along actually just to see what he was doing, because I know we worked together, and I just fancied a night in the theatre. And today Tix is your best friend when it comes to getting discounts in the theatre. And I remember that. I remember seeing that happen, because I remember he went up and it hit him like square there in the head.
Yeah, on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was brilliantly done.
It came out of because he's trying to stop him, and the other guy is trying to get off. Boom, something like that. I can't remember.
I think that was right, because I remember Stuart actually. I remember sort of looking up at his character, seeing him taking the bat out from behind the bar, and he smacked it down the bar and went, "Sit down."
Yeah. So what we did was, we had a real wooden bat.
Yeah.
That he smacked on the bar. So you're setting that up as a real wooden bat, and then we swapped it out for the fight. You did, so there was a swap that you would never have seen.
I did not see that, no.
There you go. So a little swap. So when it came to the fight, it was just a foam bat that had been made for me. Because I really smacked him on I don't know if you remember, but I hit the guy, not Stuart's character, but I hit the guy on the belly area with the bat.
Yeah.
He was Sebastian, he was all padded up underneath there as well, and
Mm.
then so he could go for that, and then from that, boom. So we set it up as a real wooden bat to start with when he hit it on the bar, and
Mm.
then we swapped it out.
Yeah.
And we swapped it out when you wouldn't have even known because the fight had started and there was just so much going on that
Yeah.
you would know that that bat had been swapped out. And I put Leanne behind the bar, so she played as if she was getting out of the fight and getting behind the bar, but I put her there at the last moment as I possibly could, so it didn't look like I was setting her up there to do the nap. And she had two blocks of wood that she banged together. Her job was the hardest job, to be honest,
Yeah.
because she had to get the timing of that
Yeah. Like
right.
watch it and go,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that had to be that whatever I put in as a cue had
yeah.
to be really clear for her. So the actors had to stay on that and make that always really clear for her. I
Yeah.
loved it in the Donmar because it was so intimate.
Yeah, of course, when you've got something like that at the Donmar, you feel like you're in whatever the
Yeah,
setting is. You're in the office, or you're in the bar, or you're in you're on the battlefield or something like that.
exactly that.
It's yeah, no, I remember seeing that. Yeah, and
So I think that's a good example of when you know that
yeah, for
you've
sure.
nailed it.
I mean, yeah, I do remember that now. When Stuart came on, I remember he was
Yeah.
walking funny, and then his speech was slurred and
Yeah,
everything,
I
and
know.
it was
It's so moving and so it's
just
an incredible piece.
to leave the audience with that and think one accident, one little, what not little,
Yeah.
one blow to the head, and then suddenly that's it.
It's changed everybody's lives. And that's why it's so important. Not just Stuart's character, but everybody's lives.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, that's why that moment was so important.
Yeah,
And like I now have, out of that, I now have a beautiful relationship with Lynette Linton, who
yeah,
I'm so proud of, and I just love seeing her career um, blossom as it should. And it's just lovely to continue to work with her on various things that we've done over the years now.
mm.
And it's great because she's very loyal, but and I remember her saying when we did Boys Who Harness the Wind, and she's very open, very lovely, she's very, I love her vulnerability, and how um, transparent she is in the space with everybody, all her creative team, all her actors. I kind of feel that that's such a strength of hers. And we will always message each other and over a period of a show, and she would say something, I feel so much strength when I turn around and see that you're in the room. And
Mm.
that's such a nice thing to say to
Wow,
someone. And
so good.
um, yeah, it's really nice. So, those the the relationships mean the most to me really now.
Definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
mate.
And
Well,
the work comes out of that because
yeah,
of those very sincere, loyal friendships and relationships.
mm. Yeah, and wow. Well, first of all, congrats on the reaction and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That was a long way of getting to something, but
No, no, don't be silly. Don't be silly. Yeah.
apparently the slap in Arcadia is also getting a good reaction.
There
So
you go. Yeah. Yeah. And just to be clear, guys, no one was harmed in the making of any of these things.
yeah, yeah,
It's done safely. The actors are safe. And Stuart did not go home with any kind of brain injury. He's absolutely fine, as far as I know, anyway. I'm sure he's fine.
yeah,
Wherever you are, Stuart. I hope you're good.
yeah.
But yeah, wow. Kate, thank you for today. This has been absolutely fantastic. I've just got two quick fire questions left for you today, then we can finish and go back to the unusual heat wave that we're experiencing here in the UK right now.
Yeah.
Hence, again, guys, sorry for the towel and everything today. It's a
No,
little hot
fine,
at
no
the moment.
worries at all.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose just to begin with, what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard when you were starting out?
Um, oh gosh, let me think.
Yeah, no, no rush, no rush.
I wish perhaps I'd heard at the beginning, maybe uh, there's room for you. Um, Perhaps that would have given me a confidence at the very beginning, um, to feel like I would belong in this part of the industry.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, I look back on it and don't regret the journey that I've had to take to get where I am.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
it would have, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've had having, meeting Jonathan was the and working alongside him, that was the massive confidence boost, I would say.
Mm. No, definitely, definitely, and I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and
Yeah,
everything happens for the next thing. You might think, "What on earth's going on?" But then you look back and go, "Ah, so that had to happen because of this, that happened because of that,"
yeah,
and you go, "Someone's looking out for me here," and then and
yeah,
then you always end up where you want to go, which is important.
yeah.
And yeah, it's great. And finally, today, what would you say? We've probably talked about this already, but what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
Oh, there have been so many, really so many. I can't put it down to one thing, but I think
No, it's
for
fine.
me, I think for me now, I'm just all the experience that I've had that have culminated into um, a world where I feel that I belong. That's the parcel. Hold
Oh,
on.
no worries. We'll pause there.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. We're back. Parcel secured. Yeah. So many things which yeah. What's that? So
yeah,
I'll
have
start again.
culminated into the career that I've had now. But look, I would say I'm going to say this one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, on the day that I went to meet Nick Heitner in his office overlooking the South Bank, and
Mm.
we were talking about Hamlet. And at that stage, I didn't know that he was going to ask me to do it. And then he said, "Oh, like, well, halfway through a conversation, he said, by the way, I do want you to do it." That sits with me for that sits with me all the time because
Yeah.
that was just a moment. I can't believe that I'm sitting in an office with Nick Heitner and he's literally just asked me to do Hamlet. I've done Hamlet twice now at the National.
Mm.
Yeah. So that sits with me. And then when I came out of that interview, I had a message on my phone from my agent saying, Coronation Street are interested in using you. So I phoned my mum.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And my mum passed away nearly 3 years ago. So these are the things that
Sorry.
really sit with me. And she was always a massive supporter of me and what I was doing. And it was, I phoned her and I said, "Mum, guess what?" I said, "I've just been offered Hamlet at the National Theatre." She said, "Oh, love, brilliant, well done." And I said, "And also Coronation Street have offered me, at that stage it was an episode, one episode."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, Coronation Street." She was like more impressed with the Coronation Street than she was with the Hamlet. So yeah, that is a moment that stays with me because it just happened in one day. The being offered Hamlet at the National Theatre and my first TV, and still working for Corrie and Emmerdale and all
Brilliant.
the others. So yeah, it's kind of nice. And my mum watched Coronation Street since she was, like forever, really.
Mm.
So yeah, that was really nice. But also just the the progression of a career and all those little moments that culminate in a sort of deep deep friendships and love and respect for what you do, really. I think that's those experiences, all the experiences, whether they're good or bad, and they're not always good. I'm not living in a little glass bubble here.
No, 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 no.
But the bad experiences, and I've had many. Yeah, it hasn't always gone right, and every show that you do is a challenge in one way or another, and you have to fight for those what you think is right, and keep using your core values and your integrity to work to the best that you can work. But yeah, I feel like I hope I leave Fight Direction in a better place than when I came into it, with it having a little bit more recognition within the industry as far as credits and all of that sort of stuff is concerned.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure absolutely will. Kate, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome.
You've been very generous with your time, and it's been fantastic to hear all these stories. And it's funny because I did see mention Sweat again now, which I did see, and suddenly it's just been like, oh yeah. And it's all come back to me now, and it's amazing, like the connections again. Like today, I thought, oh yeah, so Kate was part of that, and Kate was part of Othello, and on this. So yeah, it's just a really lovely experience to read. Just it's like a little pool or something in some ways, if you pardon the expression. But yeah, no,
it really is. And like when I look back on it, I pinch myself that I'm just an ordinary girl from a very small town there was no sort of sense that this would be my direction. And it is. So I just kind of go, wow, it's possible.
Of course, absolutely it is. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome.
Great, and I love talking, and I look forward to more fight scenes that you choreograph in the future.
Yeah.
Be in the loop with that.
I will. Yeah.
More of that. I want to see more brawls, man. Let's see more Othello brawls at some point. All safely, though, guys. All safely.
Yeah, all safely.
So if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a tiny debrief. Then we're going to shoot back to our very, very hot day today. And brilliant. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast. I'll be back very, very soon. And Kate, thank you so much. You're great. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.